Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. It's just 9 o'clock. Welcome, everyone, to today's webinar, where we will be discussing Microsoft Cloud and Optimized Data Management using Commvault. My name is Joni Whittemore. I'm the Senior Marketing Specialist with Stratiform, and I will be moderating today's webinar. First, I want to review a couple housekeeping items. You'll notice that everyone is currently on mute. If you have any questions, please use the chat feature. Submit those questions to us, and we'll be reviewing those at the end of the webinar today. Following the webinar, we'll be sharing a link to the recording for on-demand viewing, which you can share with any of your colleagues who are not able to attend today. Today's webinar will focus on how, with the extensive integration and capabilities of Commvault software and Microsoft Azure, you can overcome challenges and reap the benefits of cloud infrastructure. Your host today includes Sarath Rangu. He's a Director of Microsoft Business Development here with PCM Canada and Stratiform. We have Jason Singh, one of our field CTOs and enterprise architects at Stratiform, and Kevin Heiser, a systems engineer from Commvault. And that's me. I'm Joni, your moderator today. Today's agenda is as follows. Sarath will begin by reviewing some of the challenges that you might be facing today. He will review and introduce Microsoft and why we have chosen that platform. And Jason will give us an Azure 101, followed by a Commvault 101, before he delves into the 5 use cases that we will be focusing on our presentation today. Kevin will join him and provide a live demo to show you how easy the solution can be. Sarath will give us a summary, and if we have any time, we'll do some questions at the end. So we'll start today with Sarath. Sarath, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Zoe. Good morning, everyone. So quickly wanted to start with what the trends today are disrupting in our world, and what are those focus areas. As you see, businesses today are needing many new applications to address their business needs and drive competitive edge, which is making them go beyond using traditional devices and get into spaces like drones, IoT, AR, VR, any new kinds of devices beyond the traditional ones. And they really want to connect all these to their apps to provide that business value. And this is posing new threats to be detected and addressed. And because of all this, there is a lot of data explosion. And how do I handle that? Through cloud computing. So in a way, cloud is not the disruption. It is actually helping us to survive the disruption. And when I look at all these trends, in all these trends, the biggest challenge is all about how I manage my data, how I secure my data, and how do I classify my data, and how do I protect it and streamline to gain business value from it. So that's where we thought Commvault would, from a Microsoft and a Commvault perspective, it would be a great solution, because every C-level or the IT managers or systems and server administrators are looking at how do they drive down the legacy costs, to reduce their technical debt. How do they manage via a single platform? All the C-levels are looking at their cloud strategy. How do they maintain their compliance, security, and be efficient and operate with peace of mind as the world is moving more towards a service-oriented models? So I quickly wanted to highlight, why Microsoft, why we have chosen Microsoft, why we recommend, Microsoft to our customer base, and also why our customers are adopting it. If you look at the slide, you typically look at an IT default platform. And Microsoft have placed in pretty much the areas, be it the SaaS applications, be it the hybrid infrastructure, and even on the end user computing side, and also very much on the product and technology stack. And even if you look at some of the Gartner Magic Quadrants, Microsoft would always be on the top right-hand corner, either being a leader or the second best. And that's where they have a story in pretty much everything that they do. And also when you talk about the multi-cloud, it really, while we are looking at vendor consolidation and reducing technical debt, we definitely do not want to expose ourselves to more and more cloud vendors. If we can get one cloud platform that gives you that multi-cloud option, especially around Microsoft with the Azure stack, we rather do that versus trying to spin off many technology partners in our ecosystem again. If I quickly show you this graph, this is what I mean when I compare Microsoft being the right choice. Is if you look at the cloud strength, Amazon, Salesforce, Google are pretty top. And in terms of the enterprise strength, IBM, VMware, HP are pretty good. But when you look at someone who fits in both these areas, that is Microsoft. And with that, I hand it over to Jason to talk about the technical details of Microsoft and Commvault. Over to you, Jason.
Thank you, Sarat. Good job. So this is Azure 101 and a quick overview of the Microsoft Azure platform as a whole. As you can see, it's a pretty complex and multi-service cloud services platform. What are the essential characteristics of cloud computing in general? It's to provide on-demand self-service, broad network access, resource pooling, rapid elasticity, and measured service. How do we at Stratiform and PCM help with this? We have a mandate to help our clients to be successful in the Azure cloud journey by providing real-world experience while deploying complex production environments in Azure. The key takeaways from this slide here I would like to highlight. There's a lot of storage options available. There's lots of geolocations available. Microsoft Azure probably provides the best data center and regional options of any cloud provider currently in the market, and it's always growing and ever changing. Next slide is to get into overview of the Commvault platform and how it relates to Azure. The Commvault data platform. The demand for data management adds a wide variety of new features and integrated services into the mix. This starts at the foundation with backup and recovery, but now expands to a much larger set of embedded options to power the data management solution, which this slide displays. Why is the Commvault data platform being built on Azure and in conjunction with Azure Stack important? It strives for openness. It can be deployed on agnostic infrastructure. It delivers a service that is always on and available. It keeps pace with data growth, velocity, and variety. It embeds extensible search and analytics. It ensures portability with seamless and universal access. And it also manages a life cycle from inception. The design pretty much is around enabling workloads and use cases. Here we'll get into common use cases that the structure of the webinar will follow. The flexibility of the Commvault solution provides more functionality than we can cover. So we'll focus on 5 use cases that our customers tell us provide them the most value today. These are use case A, backup and archive to Azure. This is a solution for protecting data at the primary location by replicating it over the network to Azure storage targets, usually blob storage. Use case B, disaster recovery to Azure. This is a solution providing operational recovery of business-critical applications to Azure. Use case C, workload portability. This is a solution where physical, virtual, and cloud workloads can be redeployed to Azure using the same data management console without complicated scripting. Use case D, protection in Azure. This is a solution where data is protected in Microsoft Azure by writing directly to Azure's blob storage with options for on-premise or alternate region recovery, be it off-site or region-based. Use case E, protection in Office 365. This is a solution where data in Office 365 is protected using existing Commvault capabilities while driving data management portfolio consistency and application stability. Now I'll get into each one of the individual use cases a little bit more prior to handing it over to Kevin to walk us through some of the demos. The first use case, as I mentioned, was data protection, be it backup and archive into Azure. So this all starts with backup to the cloud. The data challenge for most customers is getting a fast, secure, and scalable data backup to their chosen cloud storage target. With Commvault's Cloud Connector functionality built natively into our software, Stratiform can offer customers one of the easiest, most deeply integrated solutions to getting their data to the cloud. Key bullets that I want to highlight on this slide include the value and replacement for tape and offsite backups and all that type of legacy DR approach, as well as offering data deduplication in the cloud along with its FIPS certified encryption. Use case B, data protection, DR to Azure. Let's talk about your workloads now. Do you have workloads that need DR today but you can't afford it? For years, customers have been examining the utility billing model of the cloud as an option for Tier 2 or Tier 3 DR workloads, but they have had to stop short because of the complexity or fear of the unknown where cloud costs are concerned. For example, recovering workloads across platforms is difficult, and automation can require a mix of tools that may not be integrated. Stratiform and Commvault helps to solve these problems by providing workload portability through our cross-platform recovery capabilities. We can natively recover VMware, Hyper-V, AWS, and Azure workloads across platforms, handling the most difficult parts of the conversion for you. When you couple that with our replication and automation technology, it makes DR in the cloud attainable for any organization. The key value proposition here is to simplify and standardize DR processes across your workloads and infrastructure completely. Move to use case C next, workload portability. Stratiform and Commvault deliver capabilities that allow data to be captured in one format and reutilized in another format. That in turn may power the migration cases in moving data workloads from your data center to the cloud. This demands V2V, virtual to virtual methods, as the formats are most likely different. In the past, those requirements would have different backup or archive tools and copies, while today we are driving a fully converged approach which offers the ability to use the data differently, all from the source copy. This is what it means to be truly agile, which saves Stratiform and Commvault customers costs, time, and resources. Key takeaways from this workload portability use case is the ability to do app-aware restores from a VM to a DB to a file level, and you can also get any-to-any refactoring of your workloads, which is pretty cool. Use case D, it's about cloud-native data protection and protecting your assets that have been deployed in Azure. So it just wants to highlight that Stratiform and Commvault can also protect assets that have been deployed primarily to Azure. And Stratiform and Commvault can offer customers one of the easiest, most deeply integrated solutions to back up and protect the data from Azure to on-premises or additional region targets. The key here is that you can activate protection to your Azure assets as you do today on-prem with the same exact tool set. Use case E, which is to me one of the more interesting use cases out there. It's cloud native data protection for your Office 365 assets. Whether you have Office 365 or an on-premises environment that includes Exchange, SharePoint, and OneDrive, it is critical that these systems work as designed to maintain your business. With Stratiform and Commvault's data management platform, you can migrate faster, stay compliant, and simplify operations while improving data security. Remember, simply holding on to all of your data indefinitely is not a sustainable or smart strategy. Our proactive data compliance and legal discovery save money and time while staying compliant. You can find, hold, and produce data for litigation from one simple platform. We have streamlined e-discovery across data silos by making all of the data accessible via a single comprehensive platform. End users can now use intuitive self-service search tools that empower legal teams to collect data and execute holds and reviews without needing IT support to speed up results and case assessments. In addition, you can implement advanced journaling and e-discovery tools through one of our flexible deployment options, be it on-premises, IaaS, or SaaS. With a single console for ease of use and unprecedented control, you can manage your Office 365 and Azure deployments the way you want, with seamless management of your on-premises and cloud data, along with the industry experts from Stratiform, Commvault, and Microsoft. Now I will pass it over to Kevin for the live demo portion of the webinar, where we will briefly touch on the 5 use cases I've just identified and summarized.
Yeah, thanks, Chase. Appreciate it. Yeah. So, whoops, looks like the slide deck. That's cool. Here, go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen real quick here. So I think I need to close this out. Do a desktop and get this guy works here real quick here. Bear with me just a second here. Let's do a full screen. Okay, great. If you guys cannot see my screen, let me know. Does it look okay? Just somebody say something real quick and should be good.
Yeah, Kevin, I can see.
All right. Okay, perfect. All right.
I can see
So
it.
let's go ahead. Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. So let me go ahead. I'm going to show you. I've got a couple things I want to show you on this. So I'm going to jump back around from Azure and also into the lab I have to be able to demo some of this stuff. So first of all, we're going to look at Office 365 OneDrive. I've got a couple CAN demos on that one, and also with Office 365 Exchange. And just for the timing, I just thought it'd be easier just to kind of put those together as kind of a pre-demo thing. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like from Azure as far as backup goes, creating a target in Azure to be able to work with that, and then also showing our live sync feature, which is really neat, and which Jason mentioned as being a ability to basically take your local virtual machines you have on site or wherever they're at, and you can have those basically replicated into Azure. Should something happen, you can go in there and you can fire those guys up and truly be a DR for your machines. And the nice thing about that is you can have VMware, you can have Hyper-V sitting there, whatever the hypervisor is locally, those can get converted and replicated up into the Azure platform on there. So pretty neat stuff. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this guy here real quick. Screen sharing deal. Okay, so first of all, I want to show you one part. I'm going to flip over into Azure dashboard here real quick. If you all want to just try out Commvault on here, or if you want to use Azure as a DR or whatever you want to do, there's actually a in the store, on Azure Store. Let me just bring it up here. We'll just hit add, and just gonna type it. If you just go to add, you go to the Azure Store here, type in Commvault on this. It'll bring up the. Takes a second or two here, real quick. Sometimes it takes a little bit more than 10 seconds here, but it'll bring up Commvault here. You bring up this, and this is going to be able to fire up essentially a trial period for Commvault. This, if you guys want to try it out, you can fire it up in Azure on there. We also have a local one you can do, so you can download the local one and do the same exact thing. Or if once you get on this, if you want to use Azure as your DR, this is the infrastructure that'll be created for you in the back end to be able to fire it up on this. So whatever you guys want to do, it's already in the Azure Marketplace. Feel free to go ahead and do that. Once you create it, it actually depends on the size. So typically, if you just want to try it out, you might want to use a lot of resources on there. But if you want to use this DR or actually fire up Commvault in the cloud itself, then there's different sizing you can do that once you do the creation button on there. But anyway, it actually gives you a lot of information on here that you can go through and try it out on there once you get that in place. So I'm going to flip back over here, back and forth here in just a minute. So the first thing I want to do is I want to show you a couple of these, essentially these CAN demos I have. As Jason mentioned, first is Commvault can protect an Office 365 Exchange, SharePoint Online, and also OneDrive on that. So what you need to do is you have to obviously have an account, an enterprise account, and you can add always to it in there. Now there's a couple things that to make aware of. So on the Exchange side, it's going to back up on the mailbox level. So Microsoft has not released the ability to log into the database itself and be able to do that with. There's some things in there they have to work on and that kind of thing. But you can't get all the mailbox level in there. And the nice thing is on this is once we grab the data and we do something with it from a backup perspective, you can hold on to that data for as long as you want to. So if you want to keep mailboxes alive for 10 years or whatever, we're going to be able to put that wherever you want to put that target at, and then be able to. And users can still access it. They can access it from their phone. They can access it from their desktop, Outlook, whatever they want to do with that data. They can get to it there. So we want to make sure we're going to go way above and beyond what a typical Microsoft will be able to do from a backup archiving perspective. And that's where Commvault's going to come to play. from a OneDrive perspective, anything that you have in OneDrive, you can back it up. You can put it back into OneDrive, or you can put it anywhere you want to on there. You can put it on your desktop if you want to recover that file there, or whatever you want to do, that kind of thing. SharePoint Online, same thing on that. You back up the documents, everything you can on the SharePoint level. You just can't get into that deep dive into that SQL database level because they don't allow you to get into that specific part of it. But if you are using that, at least you can make sure that your entire site is protected on there, and you can recover data back either there or wherever you want to put it at, stuff like that. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. So first of all, this is the first CAN demo. Now you're going to notice on this guy, I'm actually running it through a slideshow here, so I'm going to bring up the current slide. And one of the guys at Commvault put this together. So what this is going to do, now you're going to notice we have two consoles. We have our new HTML5 based console. We have our old one on this. This is going to show the old one because it's not completely ported over. So anything SharePoint related and anything Exchange related is still on our old console. So you'll see that in just a minute. It should be coming out fully ported over in December in the next service pack. We just wanted to point that out. So what we're doing first of all is we're going to go into a test folder here, and that's what Serge is doing. He's going to delete a file on there. He's going to take that little file there in Outlook. This is Office 365, as you guys can see at the top. And he's going to delete that. Go back into the deleted folder here in just a second on this. And then go ahead and delete it from there. So make sure it's completely gone on that. So nothing is there on there. And a little bit slow on this end, but that's okay. And then just go back to test folder, make sure it's not there. Nothing's there in there. Now we're going to go actually and do a restore of that file. So he's going to go in there. He's going to go up back in the Commvault console, what you're seeing right now. We're going to do a latest backup on this. You can also go back to a previous point in time if you need to. He's going to go back in there, grab that specific folder on there, grab the file, do a check of that file on this, do a recover all selected. Now there's a couple things you can do. You can actually put it back in the same spot it was exactly, which is probably pretty much what you'll most likely do. But you can also write it to a PST, another file, whatever you want to do. So there's other ways you can retrieve that data if you need to, not just back in the same spot on there. So he's going to run this guy. Now he's going to show the job. Typically, this unless you bring back the whole mailbox or tons of email on there, it's pretty quick from an individual email perspective on this. Jobs usually take a matter of 20 seconds, 15 seconds to do. Even in Office 365, even if you have a target somewhere else, like I said, unless you're bringing back the entire mailbox, which may take a little bit longer and stuff like that. So he's bringing up the job folder here on this. This is the HTML5 console, which I'm going to show you pretty much once we get out of these two parts of the demo here. So I'll show the job, and then once he gets done with this, I think he really likes to show the job off. And the cool thing about their jobs too as well, they give you a lot of details. So whether if it failed, if something happened, it gives you a ton of details on it and how to fix it. And also it gives you the ability to log into that directly to that log file that's been created to be able to retrieve that job too as well. So pretty neat stuff. I use a lot of other backup products out there, and Commvault does a really in-depth a way of looking at the individual jobs that have run and that kind of thing. So once this comes up, there's a folder back, and there's that file within that folder on there. So pretty simple backup. Like I said, you can do the whole folder or individual files or whatever you want to do, or emails on that particular part. So that's the first one. Let me get out of here. I'm going to show you the next one's going to be another CAN demo, and I'm going to get into the actual some of the neat stuff that we have in the Commvault from a data center level on that. So I'm going to go back into one more here, and this is our OneDrive restore to disk. This is a little interactive demo here. It's a little more in depth. And this might be a little bit hard to see, guys, because the screen's a little bit wonky because this actually came from our Go demo that we did a few weeks back. So on this one, we're going to go into OneDrive. So we're backing up OneDrive here. This is the old console. Like I said, this will be ported over in December. So let's bring up this, and then I'm going to go into Cloud Apps, and then OneDrive down here, and we'll hit that, and then we're going to go into the default on this, and then Browse and Restore. Same thing on this is you can always go back into a different time range. So you're not just saying, I got this last backup, whatever. I can go back 2 years ago and grab a file that hasn't, it was deleted or whatever, and then bring that back and get that file back on there. So we'll bring up read content on here. Just to dive in a couple levels here in this one. He's got underneath this Kyle folder here on this. And we hit, oops, there we go. So it's this little PDF file over here. We're going to check that box, and then going to hit recover all selected. And the same thing on this. I can put it right back to OneDrive on there, do a simple restore, or I can say, you know what, no, I don't want it there anymore. I want to restore it somewhere else. In this case, what we're doing, we're going to hit disk, we're going to hit recover on this. Looks like it's on the D drive here. And then we're going to put it back on there and hit OK. It's going to go directly back on that particular drive on there. So like I said, you're not stuck with just having to go to the same spot. You can go to multiple spots and that kind of thing. So we'll hit job console on this. These are pretty fast too, unless like I said, it's a massive size file or a massive folder. It may take a little bit longer on there, but typically they're pretty quick on that. We're going to go to Windows Explorer here and double click on this folder here that we went back into the My Drive, and there's your file. So restored. So pretty simple on that. We want to make this as simple as possible to be able to restore on that and to make it happen on that. So let me get out of here. Let's minimize that. Now for the fun stuff from the data center side. This is the part I really like, that from a protection perspective, replication, everything else of that. So the first thing I want to show you, I'm going to go and bring up my lab here on this, is I'm going to walk you through a restore process on this. We can do a VM level and also guest restore files on there into Azure. These are protecting the actual Azure VMs that you have up there. So we can protect all those guys, as many as you have on there. We can send the data, backup data, to whatever target you want to put it. You want to put it in Azure if you want to, or do you want to put it some other site, somewhere else from a backup perspective? You can send that data wherever you want to on there. So we've got that. I also want to show you the ability to create a new storage target in Azure Cloud on the blob storage, and then be able to tie that in with the Commvault environment. It's really simple to do. And the last thing I want to do is want to show you that live sync feature set that we can replicate VMs and do some cool little things with it on there. So the first thing I got is we're going to go into the Azure. I've got a number of different hypervisors on there, including one of Azure's main competitors on here, so I won't go that far back. But we're going to bring up this guy. So we're going to look at all the different things in Azure that we have targeted on here. So it gives you a lot of information. We're going to look at the last backup summary. I haven't done a backup in a while, but also any targets you may send that data to, so wherever that data is going to. Also, if you look at alerts you can set up, so if one of your VMs in Azure is getting low on disk, let's say a 20% threshold and you've hit it, it'll actually Commvault will send you an alert and say, hey, this Azure VM is running low on disk. You need to fix this and that kind of thing to be able to work with. So I'm going to give you a lot of information on the Azure environment, as well as doing a lot of data protection and everything else on that. So let's look at restore this one first. And you can go to guest files and folders. You can retrieve that file individually off that VM and restore it back to wherever you want to do. It does not require an actual agent on that virtual machine on there. Just like it is with VMware, you can, once you tie into this, Commvault calls upon the APIs, creates a application consistent snapshot of that, and you can go back and retrieve that file individually and put it back on that machine on there. Or you can bring back the whole virtual machine if you want to on there. So VMware has a few other and Hyper-V has a few other little things that it can do, but overall you can pretty much get everything you need on those virtual machines up in Azure on this. So I've got this one here. Let's bring up a full virtual machine. This is just a Windows-based machine on this. So if you bring up this, you can also, if you want to go back to an earlier point in time and retrieve that, you can. We'll just do a restore on this. And what it's going to do is going to load in a few things on this. It's going to say, okay, where's my resource group, my storage account. This may take a second here to go out and find. Sometimes this has to go out and scan everything and make sure it's all good. And we'll bring it up here. But you can bring it back. The machine on this is going to be the tie-ins to the Commvault environment it's looking at to be able to work with. Once you do a restore, you can also power it up if you need to. If you want to have it, or if you want to do an override if the VM already exists. Typically, these are unchecked, just for purposes of maybe you don't want to fire it up. Maybe you want to make sure maybe the IPs are different or something like that, or they're the same. You don't want to interact with that. But you can also change resource group, and this may take a sec. Like I said, sometimes when let me go back in again real quick, and let's do a restore of this guy again. If it loads here. But anyway, you can actually go back. There it goes. That was what I'm waiting for. So there's your resource group, and then the storage account will come up here in a minute. You can also, if you need to change these, so if you want to bring back that into a different storage area, resource group, you can actually do a drop down. If you have more than one, you can tie it to that. You can also change the size if you need to on here. So if you want to restore it back to a different size VM, you can up at Azure. Also, if you do any network interfaces, you can allocate this or just do an auto select. Same thing with security group. You can also create a public IP if you need to. So essentially, you can take a VM, you can make it something a little bit newer with a different IP range. You can bring it back as the same machine, whatever you want to do. A lot of different options you can do from a restore perspective on this. So pretty neat, the ability to be able to make this happen. This is the machine I have here running right now, just so you know it's the same machine. This is the Azure test one, so we'll go back into there. And this guy's under my VMs here. And this is the machine I have running right now, so this one I'm backing up on here. This is the one I'm going to be showing you here in just a minute. Is this guy's my replicated machine. I'll talk about here in just a minute from the live sync perspective on that. But there's that. So that's essentially how to go back doing a restore and setting up the restore processes from the Commvault on there. The second thing I want to show you is the ability to do set up a target within Commvault to a cloud site such as Azure in a blob storage area. So pretty simple. You're going to go down to the storage down here. We're going to bring up a storage target on this. This is one I've already created right here, Azure right here, into the Microsoft Azure storage. This is really simple to do. I mean, the cloud gateway is already built in the Commvault. There's no separate device you have to do, no separate VM yet set up on there. You set up the infrastructure in Commvault. Everything's included on there. I just pick add storage on this guy, do a drop down, hit cloud. I'm going to give it a name. We'll call it, TRE or something. We're going to make sure it's into the Microsoft Azure storage here in that. You're going to tie it to a media agent on this. So we've got, let's do the local one. You can do a local one, or maybe you have one created in Azure or whatever you have it at. You can work on that. This is typically going to be the same name across the board. The difference is you're going to have an account name, access key, and then a container name that you're going to create. So if you go back in Azure, back here, you go into storage accounts. I've got a couple already created on here, but just simply just go up to add on this. Give it a name. I don't know, something like that, whatever. You can also choose we're going to do blob storage in this case, but you can also do a cool or hot tier on this. Now I know Azure is coming out. They actually just came out with a kind of a third layer tier, I guess, as you will, kind of like a comparison like a Glacier from AWS. They just came out with that, so Commvault will start interacting with that too as well from a tier perspective on that. But right now we just have the be able to do one of these two tiers on this. And then once you get all this created on here, this is all from Azure. You put your location on everything else. It's going to create that. It's going to create your keys, your name that you have created on here. And then when you go into Commvault, you just put that information in and you tie into it. So it's very simple to set up on that. If I go back into here, I can actually bring up the Azure link as a storage target. And it gives you some information. I haven't backed up anything for a while on this thing, but it gives you the throughput you may have done and stuff like that. And you can kind of dive into it down here, so a little bit more how much space you're using. Now, Commvault will do deduplication into Azure Blob Storage for you too as well. So it'll also save you some space up there. So if you are sending a lot of data up there, and a lot of data is deduplicated, a bowl, I guess, if you make a new word there, then you got the ability to make all that happen, make all that stuff work with. So pretty neat stuff. We're always scanning and looking at what you have from a storage perspective, and to make you make better thoughts. Not putting much data here. We are putting a whole bunch of data here. Let's start to tier it off into a different tier or something like that. We're always going to give you a heads up into what's going on of your data and that kind of thing. So the last thing I want to show you is our live sync feature on this. I'm going to bring up replication here in the replication monitor. Now I've got a number of different machines. I have this guy. This guy is actually replicating itself to another VMware DR site I have. But this is the one we're going to look at from an Azure site, is this Ubuntu machine. I just did a synchronization this morning. Now, how we do the synchronization on this, we call it live sync. So we take a virtual machine locally, and it can, like I said, any hypervisor you want, Hyper-V, VMware, whatever. And we're going to take that thing, we're going to make a backup of it. We're going to put the backup up either locally, in this case, you probably want to put it up in Azure on that. And then once that backup is created, it actually creates a new virtual machine with the same exact naming as this Ubuntu one here, but it's turned off. And then every time you touch that server, whether it be a backup, every hour, whenever you want to do this case, it replicates and then puts that new data onto that machine up there to be able to work with on that. So in this case, you can truly have your virtual machines locally should something happen, ready to go in Azure. They're turned off by default. And let me go back in here real quick and I'll show you. And the reason being, whoops, let me hit OK, so I'm going to save that guy. So this guy right here, this guy is actually turned off on this. It gives me a status on here. I'd say turned off here in a second in the status part. But it should, since it's deallocated, it's turned off. So should something happen, I can actually go back into here. I can check a box here. I can do a failover here. I can do a planned failover on here. I can just say, you know, I just want to test this virtual machine, fire it up, see what happens, that kind of thing. Or if you have an unplanned failover, you can actually run that as well. You can also run essentially heartbeats on this thing should something happen. You know, it hasn't talked with a while, the main servers, and you can have a workflow that creates that process to fire those machines up and stuff like that. And also, should you have a failback, so if you do have a DR in place and you got all these machines running and DR main site comes back online, you can actually do a failback and those machines will be back at the normal site. Also, if any data's been touched, so if you do have a DR situation going on and you have, you know, you're up there for maybe, you know, a day or something like that, all the data gets written. It's still being backed up and sent to the other site. So when you do a failback, any writes that came up get flushed over to the old servers that are in the main site. So that way you're not going to have any kind of data or data loss or whatever as you will, that kind of thing, up to that point in time of the replication occurred. So it's pretty cool. I mean, go in here and you can just test stuff out, and if you also want to turn off the disable enable feature, you can do that too as well on that. So we have a lot of customers utilizing this. It's been around for a while. We've had it out live sync features for, oh gosh, since version 10. But the live sync with Azure and some of the other vendors out there have come up fairly recently, but they've been around for a while too. So pretty neat stuff. It's a great way to get into a DR situation if you don't want to be able to spin up something, a colo or something like that. You can take advantage of Azure and have Commvault, or have Azure be your Commvault infrastructure from a DR perspective as well too, from that end. So anyway, let me flip back I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and let's see if let me go back into the presentation though here. Hopefully this will all work out good, and I won't flip anything off here. So presentation is, I think, I'm going to see, was it the PDF file, everybody?
Yeah, it's a PDF.
Okay, I think you have to go back, and let me go back into that slide for everybody, and let's see here. I think it was, this was that one here. Okay, cool. So I guess, so Ralph is going over to you, back to you again.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Jason. Just wanted to highlight quickly that about 5 use cases around backup and archive to Azure, DR to Azure, workload portability, protection in Azure, and protection for Office 365. And with that extensive integrations and capabilities of Commvault and Microsoft, you can overcome some of the challenges such as increasing your agility, reducing your capital costs, freeing up resources, and reap the benefits of cloud infrastructure. And together with Commvault and Microsoft, and with our Stratiform partnership, we believe that we deliver a flexible, secure, and cost-effective solution for leveraging the cloud, and also streamlining the ease of use of the solution to maximize your business value, whether your goal is doing more with less, providing new capabilities to increase your competitive advantage, or enhancing business continuity, or all the above. And I quickly wanted to just talk about us, who we are from a Stratiform standpoint, from a PCM standpoint, and how we come together to help you be that business solution provider. Stratiform operates under its own brand as a boutique cloud expert, from which PCM Canada leverages all our resources and expertise in order to strengthen the cloud solution, because cloud has become a huge focus. In terms of Stratiform was founded in Calgary in 2012. We have since grown to Canadian-wide organization with over 60+ employees in 4 regional branches, Vancouver, Calgary, and the Prairies, and now in GTA. We have clients from many different industries, including oil and gas, financial sector, construction, travel, and retail. And with PCM Canada, we have a large footprint in the public sector. We became a Microsoft Gold partner in January 2014, I believe, and a CSP in the fall of 2015. We have Gold competencies in pretty much all the cloud areas. We have implemented over 70 Azure projects and over 20,000 hours of Office 365 projects. And with the PCM Canada affiliation, our experience now goes up to 30 years. And our reach across Canada has expanded to 7 regional branches with over 600 IT professionals. And our goal is to drive digital transformation in our clients. And we are also expanding our ISV partner ecosystem, because as the world is more moving towards the new business models, be it the SaaS applications and be it the new business outcome focused vendors, we want to align ourselves to them so that we provide the best value for our clients. And this is where I kind of explain why we become a business solution provider. If you look at historically, when PCM tried to land in Canada, they bought Acrodex, which was very much a value-added reseller, and Stratiform was more in the IT system integrator space. Now, if we combine both and with our expertise in the cloud and how we focus on driving business value, we now become a business solution provider. And with that, we're also opening up ourselves to work with partner-to-partner engagements as well, just to provide that business value to our clients and helping them fast forward the digital transformation and set them for the future, set them for the success. And with that, I will open the floor for any questions and hand it back to Joni. Joni, over to you.
Thank you, Saraf. Looking over here at the Q&A. If anyone does have any questions, please feel free to submit them through the chat feature, and we'll read those out to the team. Any that we have had, we've been able to answer our own, and I don't see any new questions right now. So with that, I will just take a moment to thank Saraf, and thank you to all of our presenters today, including